Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up, as Brian Mag says. Listen, this ain't the morning show, but this sometimes you gotta lose yourself podcast with Charlie Perry and Marvin Speller, Coach M100. My man, the ace in my deck, anytime it's definitely gonna be ace of spades, so I don't lose nothing, right?
I hear that. I hear that.
What's going on, man? How was your day?
Man, it was a wonderful day, man. How about yourself?
Uh, Good day. Cloudy on this end, but
You guys
you know,
cloudy again?
yeah, it's gonna take a change for probably about the next week, and everything was good. I spoke to one of my friends from Florida,
Uh-huh.
and he's in the state, so he's in Massachusetts. And if you're out there, Dale, I see you. I see you. And trying to hook up with him in the next couple of days so we can take some pictures and make some memories. So um, let's see. Yeah, boy, thanks for joining us yesterday with Mike Samayo. His book is moving and grooving, and it's so nice, man. I get all my friends writing books, and just gonna be a special bookcase in the Perry household.
There you go.
Yep. Um, so the uh, the world is going crazy, brother, man. It's all kinds of chaos. It's almost like it kind of went back a few years. It's all coming back, man. How do you get away from all this negativity? What do you do?
You asking what I do?
Yeah.
Oh man. Listen, I'm like everybody else. I get caught up in that stuff at times too. You know,
Yeah.
everybody's going to, right? Because you see with your eyes, right? And
Hmm.
you feel with your body. So I think you have to be very intentional about getting away from stuff at times. And imagine if you went just a period of time without any distractions.
Hmm.
We do
Yeah.
live in a world now of instant gratification, right? It really
Exactly.
started back in the day when people started getting microwaves, right?
Hmm.
Not unless you had a bag of chips or Funyuns or whatever else in the house, right? You had to eat something of some meal. Now it's just man, and when microwave came around, you got the bag of chips, you got everything. You just open up some soda, something. We live in a world of anything you need is always at your fingertips. And now it's even worse now with um, electronics, right? If
True.
you want to
True.
listen to back in the day, if you wanted to listen to a song, you had to go get a record, play it, listen. Better yet, sometimes you may have had to go and buy it, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of times it wasn't just sitting around the house. Or if you were lucky, you could go on the radio and it's on. I remember growing up as a teenager, we used to, listen out on Fridays because Fridays all your favorite songs will be playing at night. Now you just go listen to it on
Hmm.
anything, computer, your phone, anything, right? I do think we have to be very intentional about getting away from that stuff at times. I mean, you got to be very, very, very intentional because I think people don't realize it takes away your mind share of things. It takes away your concentration when you're in that mode of instant gratification. It really
Hmm.
does. But to each his own.
Yeah. Exactly. The our good friend Michael's saying hello. Hello.
What's up, Michael?
Hmm.
Always good
Yes.
to It's always good to see you, man. Hear from you. I'm
Yeah.
glad you got your book out, man. And you're right, Charlie. This is the year of books, my brother.
Yeah. Yeah. I paid Michael good money to come on the show yesterday, man.
Oh, okay. There you
Two
go.
$2,000. Can you imagine that? $2,000 for a podcast, man. Michael Samayo. Right off the bat. I'm
Nice.
only joking, man. In that case, yeah, he did a great podcast, good conversation, and you know, so cheers, cheers to
Cheers.
the cheers to
He's,
the books.
he's a good brother, and I'm glad you're writing a book. I think it's always important people to really just express themselves any way you can. It's always good to express yourself.
Yeah. Speaking of books, what about your book's progress, man? What's going on?
Oh man, it's the progress is coming along. I don't know if Michael talked about this, but there's always the background work that really sometimes feels like a stumble, but it
Hmm.
kind of gets you jazzed. You're like, okay, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. It's that excitement of you really start to your love for what you put down goes on another level when you're doing the background work. You got to get the ISBN number, you got to format it. I mean, you got to have the book cover. There's a lot of things you need to do um, in the background of formatting and who's going to be your publisher. Are you
Hmm.
going to do print on demand? What are you going to do there? You're going to add some little jewels inside that people can find, and you have a mystery of what your book cover meant. Hopefully, people pay attention at some point. Like, oh, I see why this is put inside the. This is put on the book cover. When you're reading through the book, you really get immersed in really what that artist is thinking about, and it really still blows my mind. I mean, it's like I will not consider myself an audience until I push the button,
Hmm.
ready to sell. But until then, I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. But you know, I think that comes sometimes where you may not give yourself enough credit to do things. Um, but man, I don't know, it's incredible, and there's so many things that's just coming from that. And we could talk about some of it now, but what we have a whole weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of stories to talk about this book. I discovered something last night,
Hmm.
and I was like, oh my gosh, there are no such things as coincidences. Things happen and things happen for a reason. Sometimes things happen beyond your own level of awareness. And so, man, once I figured it out, I shared with you some of my chapters, and we'll go through each chapter. We'll probably do a chapter a week, kind of unpacking it because there's only so much you can write down. There's so much. It's so much that's inside of you that can go into a chapter.
Exactly.
In a movie, they would call it like extras or deleted scenes.
Hmm.
You don't have that when you're writing a book. You don't have the deleted scenes section or deleted pages sections. It's always good to really go and talk about it because really this is the part where um as we're going through this, we'll make the full announcement of what this looked like. I'm going to share the album cover with everybody and everything, and we'll start really diving into it. But there's just so much that goes into it, and there's a duality about it. As much as I'm excited about you know sharing this book because it's so needed by so many people, because there's a commonality with this book with everybody, and so this is an opportunity for me to really connect with
Hmm.
millions of people on this, and if they can just get one simple thing from it, man, that's just so grateful because man, you're going through this and you're writing this thing, and I started writing this thing. I think we talked about it, man. It's been at this thing for a long time.
Yeah,
There was another one I was gonna come out with beforehand, and at some point I'm gonna come out with that one. At
you
some
should.
right.
Yeah, you should.
Well, I've got another one I'm working on too.
Hmm.
So this one continues to go, and I don't know, man. This you just want to reach out to the masses. It's almost like you want to reach out to the masses and just embrace them and hug them. And doing something like this, you feel so connected to people.
Yeah, it's
Isn't that what this is about, Charlie?
yeah, it's so true. The connection is well, as long as the connection's not silenced, that's when it really comes real nice. Like when someone says, "Hey, I read your book. You mentioned some things that were pinpoint and so accurate of what I'm dealing with. I need to talk to you some more about it." And when you get those stories, those connections, that is that's a it's almost like a double feature. You get a real verbal conversation talking about the subject matter that Coach put in his book, and when a live person is talking to you about it, man, that's a great experience, connection rather. The Dr. David Spencer says hello, great show, and
Hey, David, how are you?
yeah, he's we're trying to get him on the podcast, and he's either going to be on our show or he'll be on the Really Charlie podcast. But the guy is full of some life experiences, some great intellect, and I think coming on this show would be great. That way you and I and him could do a connection because he's a pastor and
Hmm.
he's got his PhD and definitely a book of knowledge. So
That's great. I'm always ready to connect with great people.
yeah,
Just
and
people with
some
zero
yeah.
intellect. You never know what you can learn from others. And um, I've learned so much going through this grief experience of losing my wife. I learned so much about you learn so much more about yourself,
Hmm.
and in doing that, you learn so much more about others.
Exactly.
And you really get to learn yourself inside and out. And really, this is why in this book is woven in so many stories, and then boom, here you go. You go
Mhm.
into things that can make a difference in people's lives. This is what this is all about. And my whole intention always is about there's more than one way to do different things, whatever way works best for you. We have been in this thing and really programmed. When you think about, I heard you say earlier about the way the world is, man,
Mhm.
world's always trying to program people to think and feel a certain way. And going through this, I heard it, I saw it, I read it. This is how you do things, and I'm constantly looking at another lens. I'm like, get to do things the thing that best serves you, and that's with everything.
Mhm.
In doing that, you start to feel a vast connection with others, and you realize that when you think about the world could be any type of way, but it always depends on how people view it or go about doing it. I was telling somebody recently, I was like, just because you're going through something never gives anybody a right to dismiss how someone else feels
Mhm.
or how somebody else is doing things. You can learn from each other. It doesn't matter. You can have a new government every year. You can have
Mhm.
a new governor every year. You can have a new mayor every year. But one thing that's constant is the people. And people have always had the power. And if you allowed yourself to program yourself to think a certain way, then you get your power back because you're not led by these things I used to call. Chris and I used to laugh about this. The times I used to coach a lot of women, it's like the problem that comes down. There's always a list of supposed tos,
Mhm.
and if you don't live by supposed tos, then you get condemned a certain way, right?
Yeah.
Instead of people connecting from the place of being their best selves, because that's where a lot of the beauty starts. Like, this is where I'm at, this is where you're at. We can build from there, or it may not just be any type of compatibility there.
Now, those supposed tos that you're talking about, are they self-generated or society generated? What do you mean by that?
I think a lot of it is societal
Okay. All right.
norms, but it's now societal not in different ways, right?
Yeah.
You can be involved in anything, and this is how we do things. No, that's how you do things. How we do things is a collaborative effort.
Okay.
Now, but because the thing about it is, man, I really want to get to this point. I want to make this point clear. We have this internal guidance system in all of us. We don't always need a bunch of rules or how to do things. And then at some point, how you do things defines everything. Because you can have these people who are like, okay, well, this is how we're doing things. And when you go along with that, then you become a part of that collective consciousness, right? But what if you said to yourself, well, this is where I'm building from, somebody else, this is where I'm building from, and at some level of collaboration is different than starting at point A, this is how we're all doing things. You see
Agreed.
the difference between the two?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I want to say hello to Jack McGee. How you doing, Jack? And thanks for joining us. I appreciate you. Um, we
Hey, Jack, how are you?
yeah, good friend, my teammate. Um, all right. We mentioned off screen about what we were going to discuss, and one of the things we were going to discuss is our purpose.
Mm.
Now, why don't you lead off with that?
All right, cool. Um, our purpose changes, right?
Yep.
Or our purpose starts from a place of, why are you here?
Yeah.
So you bounce it to me, bounce it back to you. Why are you here?
I'm here for one. Now I know I'm here. I mean, before I used to be here for myself, right? That makes any sense. Now I'm here to make sure that before I leave this great earth that God has given us,
Mm-hmm.
I want to make sure that my fruits are very, very set as best as possible, because I can't promise $1,000,000 when I don't have it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want them to be set in life and what they're doing. And if I can help out, I want to help out. And so I'm just here as a support system for me, my wife, my kids, my grandkids, my friends, family. That's for my purpose right now. And it kind of self satisfies me to be like that right now.
Can you drill down a little bit? I kind of really want to understand what you meant by that, because when I think about Charlie, I can give you from just being around you, feeling your vibe, connecting a level, what your purpose is in life. And because sometimes when we look at that from a certain perspective, that's the
Yep.
lens of how we look out in the world, right? So when you were talking about family, do you feel like you have a one purpose that you feel like this has been a part of your nature for quite some time?
I would say caring, that's
Aaron? Okay.
yeah. Um, that's kind of the biggest thing that's more of my character than just caring for others. Um, it, it even gets even greater when it's family members. So I
Well, you were a police officer for a long time,
yep, and
and
that
when I think about, you became a police officer for what reason?
just help people. That's what I just to help people, and it was uh it was the type of work that I could easily kind of jump into as a service and a kind of civic minded person. That was easy for me because it was already in my blood. It was always something that I try to do, help out.
Why do you think it was in your blood?
Just what I seen, with my grandmother, my aunts, uncles, pretty much growing up. I think I actually some of them had lost their stamina over the years. They wasn't that same type of person as I grew up.
Mhm.
But growing up, I seen a lot of that. I just seen some of the things they were doing and kind of you know try to mimic them and pretty much talk like them. I just wanted to be that caring individual, that I seen, throughout my lifetime. So, what's up, Gordon? I see you.
Hey, Gordon.
Yeah.
No, I think that's commendable. I think when I hear that, it's not something that surprised me. That's why I was like, okay, why did you want to be a police officer? I think about some of the things you do try to help people. I hear and I see it all the time, and I think about um, when Kristen was first. How were you introduced to Kristen?
Hmm. Let's see. Trying to think here. I think it was social media. We first conversation, and then it became
How you all
uh
connected? And which
yeah, and then
relatives?
and then the match of last names was really the draw after that. It's
The dead giveaway, right?
and you're like, wow, wait, it's too close. They even though you guys were out there, but her family was from here and or our family's from here, and you're just saying, wait a minute, it's gotta match up somewhere. And sure enough, it did. Thanks to Milton Tavares, and was able to kind of do that for us, and put the matches together. And so she always said I had a likeness of her dad, somewhere. I think
You
it's
you got a dad like nature to you,
yeah,
and it's interesting. You talk about uh, the caring part, where you seem like somebody that garners so much respect from people.
true.
And it's like, maybe that's why, you were a police officer, you were out there, you made a difference because you got to care, but people respected Charlie.
Yeah.
So I can understand why she would she would say that about you.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So you've had that, you had that vibe about you over time, and people who meet you is like, okay, there's a there's this like upstanding brother,
I
and
try to,
so
you know.
yeah, I can definitely see that. And that's what we're talking about. This whole thing of purpose is people living their purpose. It's like, why are you here? You ever
Mm.
ponder that? People ponder that. It's like, okay, what are you meant to do? Are you doing that? Because sometimes it seems obvious, sometimes it doesn't seem as obvious. I think about the story you just told. I just think about here's one thing that for me when I was growing up, my grandmother was this outstanding cook. I mean, just outstanding. Not taking
Mm.
anything away from my mom, but my grandmother was a whole nother level.
Mm.
But you
Appreciate.
know what her cooking did was brought people together.
Yes.
And whether it was Memorial Day, 4th of July, Christmas, um, Thanksgiving, people would converge
Now
over
this
my
this was
grandparents' house.
this was mom's mom, right?
Yeah, oh
Okay.
yeah, in Baltimore.
Hmm.
So everybody would converge. Then I find out my mom, her uncles, they would come over there on weekends to watch westerns.
Yeah.
And these were my grandmother's brothers, and they were all a part of it. So there was all this, it was always about this connection thing, connection and love, right?
True, true,
So so when I think about that, and I hear that, I feel that, just it makes me feel like really good on inside, because this camaraderie, people coming together. I fast forward that to there's this guy here named Melvin, constantly having these spades parties, and you feel that camaraderie there, right? And I use that word camaraderie because it goes back to me writing this book, which is camaraderie of people. I could take something where I've got my greatest pain ever, and hell,
Hmm.
it was painful to write this book because you're reliving this stuff all the time in real time. You go
Yeah.
back and do the edits. You got to do this. Oh, I want to add it. I need to take this out. I want to add it. I want to take it out. You're going through all this thing, this whole mental exercise. Along the way, the thing that kept me grounded was like, okay, well, this is helping me along the way. While it's something where it's an opportunity to help others. You know what I'm saying? That we could come to a central place, at least in mind share. And this mind share is like, okay, I feel where you're at. I've read it.
Hmm.
I've listened to it. I've heard it. And I've experienced it. I had these 4 touch points with people. And that brings a whole level of communication and connection with people. Right? This
Yeah.
connection, in some ways, removes this illusion of how separate we are. So that's kind of what I think about when I think about purpose. When I think about what is your purpose in life, I didn't realize what my purpose was. I was just doing certain things. At some point, you just start to ponder.
And it's as you ponder, right? Sometimes you may make some changes, right?
Mm. Oh yeah,
And and then pondering becomes a benefit because the change may have been necessary.
yeah. It has to be, man. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, my goodness, Charlie, I'm definitely a changed man, in many ways over,
Yeah.
and yeah, a lot of ways.
Yeah, there's no doubt you can't um I don't mean to put it this way, but you have a heart attack, your body's gonna change.
Yep.
What you've been through was a piece of your heart.
Mhm.
So it's definitely gonna change you. And
Oh
if it didn't change you, then the heart aspect or the heart analogy was never there, you know.
yeah,
You definitely have to change. And
yeah. I mean, yeah. You change many times over,
mhm.
and sometimes the people don't really. It's like your whole outlook on life changes, right?
Mhm.
Can't wait till we start to really go into each section because I can connect more with the whys behind things, and I see less pain with people from going through things they may see on TV or they believe it to be true or not, right? Or
Yep.
news. Whether they believe it or true, a lot of times it's from an emotional deficit purpose perspective why people get all riled up because of the news, right? Because you're really only getting a side that society wants to put out to you, and you could be drawn into if you want, or you're not, right?
Yes.
To experience this, Charlie, it's different because it's like you get caught up because in some ways you're operating from a place of survival. You're not operating from a place of peace or anything else. You when you operate for a long time in a survival mode, there's some ugly stuff that comes from that, man. And yeah, man, Think about it. There was a nuclear bomb that happened right now. There's no more electricity, right?
Hmm.
What happens in a week, Charlie? Have you ever pondered this?
In a week, a lot of devastation. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Electricity, no running water. Well, may have some still, but it's not really forced to the system, right? Don't have any sewage, right?
mhm.
Can't just go in the fridge and go fry something up. Whatever you got now, you hope is lasting, right?
True.
You may have some cans you could pop off, or if you were a prepper, you can have a bag or something where you can just go grab into. Hopefully, you can survive for a while, right?
Yeah. You
But
see
you're
it
in,
in there. You see it in every devastation that happens in the country. Whether it's, I
right,
mean, you seen it with the fires on your way.
yeah,
You see it in the tornadoes throughout the country, hurricanes, whatever it may be, and you see what happens when people have to do or have to do something differently to survive. So
right.
didn't mean to cut you off, but sorry.
No. Thank you. We're just sharing. You're going to go through that. You lose a spouse.
Hmm.
You're going to go through that. You lose a child, a parent. You just go down the line. Certain things you lose, right? And you're operating from that mode. You're like you're trying to crawl out the hole, right? Because you're in
Yeah.
survival. You don't even realize you're in survival, right? Hopefully, if you may realize that your pulse is elevated. You know, all these things going. Your body's going through sympathetic nervous system, right? You kind
Yeah.
of you you if you were getting chased, your body goes in that mode they call it fight or flight, right? So you're there for a minute. You're not supposed to be there for long. When you have that level of tragedy, you're going there for quite some time. It's not good for your body. Definitely, it's not good for your psyche, right? And you won't even realize that. A lot of times, I remember earlier on people were asking me, "Well, how are you doing? What are you going to tell them?" "Oh, I'm doing really, really bad today."
Mm.
Could you really tell somebody that?
No, it's even when it's true.
Yeah, when it's true. Do you tell people that?
No, you can't. Well, I can't. You know, I
I
just
can't either.
no, I need to not. I just don't think it's. I don't want to put that burden on somebody else for me saying that it's been a bad day. Um, let me deal with it first, and then if I have to talk to you later, I'll talk to you. But I don't
Right.
want to put that burden on someone to say it's going real bad, and then now it's in their head and their mental state and what they're doing and what they're thinking about. And Marvin said he's having a bad day. Oh, you know, and then now I'm going to talk to Marvin and or say, Charlie, what's going on with him?
Right.
And you know what happens? Anyone that with any caring nature is going to do something. Whether if I say I'm having a bad day, and now they start thinking about, all right, Charlie's having a bad day. He's not telling me anything. All right, I need to call someone,
Hmm.
family, friends, whatever. Let me find out what's going on with him because he just didn't look right, and he verbalized it and said he wasn't right. You know, he's having a bad day. So that's a lot of work. When all in all, the bad day, I could probably deal with it. But if I verbally tell someone I'm having a bad day, it's not good, they need to listen
Mm. Well,
because I don't I
that's
don't I don't like to put that burden on anybody really.
yeah, that's the thing. What you want to be strong around people, right?
Hmm.
And you don't want to let people know that. And then there's also that dynamic inside, right?
Yeah.
I've read this thing earlier. Society, and I said this before many times, Sean. Society really, in a lot of ways, and this is what I'm talking about. Things put in place, right?
Yeah.
Society doesn't have any use for a guy who's struggling like that. Society's got this norm. We just got to suck it up because we're thought as being the protectors and all that. That's why you're rarely going to have many guys that are going to be like, oh, I'm feeling crappy. I feel bad. Or this, they may have it for a moment. You
Mhm.
catch them right, but it's not going to do that. Um, but you just you know how many times I wanted to tell people when they ask me, you know what? I'm having a really crappy time. I am having a hard time moving through all of this.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Now,
He's not trying to hear that, man. And
now,
but I could flip the script on that.
yeah.
You go anywhere on Facebook, you go anywhere on the news, you can have a woman on there, and they're
Yeah.
talking about how bad things are, or how other, and society embraces that wholeheartedly. Society embraces that a woman who feels broken.
Mhm.
Can we do to throw at her to get her a good point? And it's like this is the realness of things. But the realness of things is where they call it the widowhood effect, right? You can only bend so much, right? And before you realize, like, you gotta do something to get yourself some help. This is why men get to a fork in the road when they have this tremendous grief, right? And a lot of times women their grief is harder.
Yeah.
But why is it harder for women, but men it's hard too? Why do you have more men die from that than women when it hits women harder? What do you think?
Uh-huh. I just think that men bring it to um, its extreme level or weight, which turns into a lot of different things. Uh, where they're so frustrated that just can't deal with it, and that's when it becomes that extreme because the buildup has caused it um to men to collapse.
When you say
And
build up, what do you mean by that?
the buildup of the stress of just where you talk like we there's something going on where there's a um women are having this, they have this bad day or turmoil and now when a man has it, it's perceived as weak, as you talked about society having no use for that. Well,
Hmm.
and I think that what we do is the the buildup of stress will weaken you, and it nearly weakened me several years back, 20, 30 years ago. It caused me to rush myself to the hospital.
Hmm.
I thought it was muscle pain, sickness, and all it was stress.
Hmm.
Stress, and that's the so and now I was the first person to like people would tell me stress will kill you. I said, how the hell is stress gonna kill you? Excuse my pun, my language here. How the hell is stress gonna kill you? Well, I felt it firsthand, and it was like grabbing my chest, like a grip, and so thank God I have some things or some outlets and way of doing things, and whether it's poetry, sitting on this podcast, talking to someone that I trust, um, and truly need in my life, and that's Marvin Speller. So those things allow me to let it go, you
Hmm.
know. And so hope I didn't that went around the world with that, but
No,
it's
I'm glad to hear your thoughts. I think everybody has a great perspective on what it does to them. I mean, I know what it did for me, and when I wrote this book, I mean, I'm as gritty and raw as it can be, and it's like sometimes you got to get down with the gritty and raw in order to really share your point. And that could be in a book with someone else, it could be anything. You have to be, you have to work to the point of being authentically you. You just got to be you.
I do
And
like.
I wasn't me for a lot of times. I wouldn't have never shared myself with people. First, I thought to myself, like, hell, they're not worth me sharing. And two, probably don't give a damn.
Mhm.
I'm thinking to myself, that's not necessarily the case. Because one of the things you have to give people grace with is that everybody's going through one battle or another.
Yeah.
And so this whole grace thing is really what one of the big things that come out of that is like, don't take things as personally because you're just trying to build with people, man. And you understand that people got things that are going on. I mean, as far as I know, Charlie, you may have had a rotten day. You could have gotten jumped by five guys. I don't know. And I
Mhm.
have to keep that in mind with in every interaction with people, right? Because you just never know what people are going through, right? So if you ever heard from somebody in a while, it could be maybe it's not personal, maybe it's just they got stuff they're going through.
Yeah.
And so you start to get down to the point of grace and overstanding of people, right? Imagine if you did something, but you get to control that how you are, how you're vibing too.
Yeah.
I talk about that in the book, right? Sometimes you're a mirror of what happens around you. You want people to have a smile on your face, but you got a big ass frown on yours.
Mhm.
You want people to be joyous and kind. What are you doing? Because like over time meets like, right? And so your vibration is everything. This is what we talked about weeks ago about tones and frequencies, right? What
Yeah.
is your frequency every day? Do you wake up in joy? Do you meditate? Do you ponder? What do you say? What's your self talk like? When you walk by that mirror, are you high fiving it or are you condemning it when you see yourself in it? And you condemn it by looking at yourself. You have something a little off, but that whole thing of people have talked about this so much from this space for years now.
Yeah.
And it sounds very cliches, but this whole thing is self love, man. And it's not easy, man, right?
No.
But you know, you want these certain things. You want people to like you, right?
Yes. Of
Do
course.
you want people to love you, Charlie?
Yep.
Do you want people to respect you, Charlie?
Every opportunity. Yep.
Do you have all those three things with no compromise in yourself right now? Do you have all of them?
Yes. I
All the
believe
time?
it.
All
No,
the
all
time?
the time. No. No. No.
Yeah. I mean, that
Yeah.
sometimes it's the work in our lives, man. What we have as ourselves, how we view, how we believe in ourselves, all these things, right? So come down to simple things, man. Help or hinder, build, destroy. I mean, all these certain things, right?
Yes.
Very, very destructive to ourselves. Because by that time that person goes out there to do something to Charlie, they probably already did it to themselves. Whether it's a not so nice, people going through certain levels of pain and all that, they're there. It may not even be personal. You and I talked about an incident recently. Doesn't mean it was personal. Just mean what someone's going through. Do we empathize with people enough, right? It's like, hey, I'm going through something. Somebody maybe do we feel that or do we automatically assume it's us? Or someone's
Hmm.
doing something to us, right?
Yeah.
I'm guilty as charged on that, man. Guilty as charged, brother.
The we we have it's weird how some things come up, and you and I throughout the week will have several text messages to each other, but never a wide open conversation, right?
Mhm.
It's usually one or two sentences for us, back and forth because of, it could be for one, we probably believe both of us are working, so
Right.
I want to keep it short and sweet. And then later on, when you come on the show and you talk and you have these conversations and you bring up subjects, and it's like, man, I was just thinking about that earlier today. I just had that conversation with someone else. And like minds kind of think alike sometimes. And I am, you know, always amazed at how there's a compatibility between you and I that, um, and just by, and it proves it just by the conversation, just by what you bring up during this podcast. I'm like, damn, he's so true. That's pinpoint. There's something about our podcast where um I'm gonna be able to check off a lot of boxes of what I want to hear just by listening to you. Or what I
It goes
need to
both
hear.
ways, brother.
Yeah,
I think that
So
about me. Like I said, we can always build on any topic. There's probably something that's already passed our minds throughout a given day, right? Or
mhm.
just experiences, man. It's not like I'm 26, man. I'm 56, man, and I've seen
Yeah,
things, and I've seen things beyond, and
get
heard
out of
things
here. There ain't no way you're 56, man. You look like a 26-year-old dude.
beyond. Far from that, but thank you, brother.
Pacific Coast Highway cruising,
Yeah.
doing your thing, and
Well, I'll be 57 in December, so
yeah, that's a good month, man. That's an
December's a
excellent
great month.
month. Yeah, yeah, it sure is. I got a lot of people in common. Actually, my friend Jill and Tony, they have their podcast on at 8 o'clock, and I think one time when we have an opportunity, uh, and try to get them on, but before their show, right? Because we got a conflict because it's the same day. But I like to talk to them as a couple, right? You
Oh
know,
man, we gonna get into that. I got a section that see this is where I was gonna put a section on that, but I'm gonna wait. If I had waited another 6 months, I wouldn't have been able to really put my heart and soul into this section. It's gonna go into uh the relationship part of being a widower,
hmm
and just that whole connection of people who have kept love alive for years, right?
yes,
I am a firm believer of compatibility.
yeah.
So how long they been together?
I want to say 23 years, but
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah, they
I didn't say it has to be perfect, right? But you are having so many learning moments to be together that long.
hmm
There
yeah,
truly is a science behind um, the compatibility with people after they get past certain benchmarks, right? People say 7 years, bunch of garbage. It's just
yeah,
one of those things that society try to implant in people. And the flip side, they say, right? They'll say the 7 year itch, right? So it's always the duality that we look at in life, right? Always up or down, left or right, something like that. But anyway, that's something I wanted to. We got to talk about at some point, man. We'll talk about that as the chapter I didn't add. There is several chapters in that, and that chapter is everything. The compatibility. I briefly touch a little bit on that, and I think about for people. I love to hear their stories. Right, I'm a part of a lot of widowers groups on Facebook, and I hear their
hmm
stories. Like, wow, wow. And people will say, okay, well, I'm no longer married to this person. Start going when I start going on dates. These are things that happen, right? And you say, so, oh wow, okay, I see how that comes up. What's the first kiss like? What's the first this? What's the first that? And what's the first all these different things, man? And what is it you're looking at? And what if somebody was married for say they're married now, and you said they're 20 some years, right?
hmm
something happens, which I hope it doesn't, right?
Yes.
And so you're 20 some years out the game, right? The world looks a whole lot different 20 years ago, 20 some years ago than now.
Yeah.
We're way different, right? When you start to look at dating apps, you start looking at, okay, people communicate more by text than calling, which absolutely blows my mind away. People would
Hmm.
communicate, and you're not even talk about first date like coffee house or walk in a park or just the little things that people do. Come to a door. How long you been married to your wife?
Let's see. We have. Wow, I get a count, man. That's crazy. All right.
Hope she's not watching, man.
I don't care. I'm always in trouble. I'm always in trouble. Um, so 32 years.
Okay, game is totally different than 30 some 2 years ago, man.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And the funny thing, when we talk about instant gratification, we started the day out with.
Actually, it's been
Now you may have that, right?
33 years. I'm sorry.
33, okay. So you talk about now, people talk about instant gratification, right?
Yep.
How it's so important and how it's really not good, right? Because you won't let something marinate. You
Hmm.
won't let something that's like, okay. So people don't court anymore. People
Yep.
don't get marriage is down by a whole lot, right?
Hmm.
A whole lot. And so these whole things, you're talking about societal, right? These societal things that happen. So people are less together and less connection, right? So that's just man, Charlie. You know what we're gonna have to do, right? We're gonna
What
have
we
to
got?
go into that next week when we go on. Be prepared, brother, because
All right.
I will go into a little bit about my missing chapter.
Mm.
So
All
some of
right.
the research and talking to people, what I've seen and uh, what scares people, and what scares me a little bit. But I also will leave with this statement. We'll wrap it up with some other things.
Yep.
I manifested, Kristen. I told you this story, didn't
When, was it the dream or what? No, no.
I? Nope.
Refresh my memory.
Okay. We'll go into that more next time, but there is a way. Um, I'll give you this. I was listening to this guy on YouTube.
Hmm.
He was on this dating site. I think he went through maybe 10,000 swipes before he got somebody to respond.
Yeah.
Okay. And then out of 10,000, there was a certain number responded, and even less than that are people who are who would chat with him, right?
Exactly.
So, and with that, he wound up didn't get any dates from that. I've talked to a lot of people who've been on dating sites. I've been on groups. I've been in men's groups and stuff like that. Some people exclusively use those, right? They
Yeah.
even got somebody on YouTube talking about how to set up your account and all this other stuff, right? But you go from a picture on the screen versus learning from an individual. It's really hard to build something from that. Could you fall in love with a dog you didn't get only by seeing a dog online?
Mm.
You want to be around them, get their vibe, and all this other stuff. I manifested Kristen by, and I'll go into more. I manifested by there's certain things I did. There were certain things I did along the way. I was coming out of a last relationship, and I was feeling some kind of way, and then I manifested Kristen by doing certain things. Got clear on what I was looking for. What is it going to look like? What's it going to feel like over that time? Then once it starts to unfold, you start to be in alignment with the things you want.
Mm.
And how you become in alignment with certain things is that you're doing things different. If you had something that you wanted so bad and you're still doing the same thing, you're clearly not in alignment with it. I became in alignment with Kristen by me doing things different. And this is how I met her.
But what caused you to do something different?
Because I was tired of where I was at.
Okay, all right.
I was tired of, sometimes you get tired of the state you're in. Not the state you're living in, but the state of your whole being.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
sometimes you gotta just change things up, man.
yeah.
I
All right.
mean, you don't operate from a place from here to there by still being in here on everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
To go from here to there, to be at the there state, you have to be at a different place with you.
Yeah.
It's almost like certain worlds start to converge, where you are being a different version of you. If
Okay.
you wanted to have the best things that happen to you, let's just say I wanted to get a great job, and you would kind of do things to start to prepare for that, right? You may
Yeah.
study the company, you want to make sure you get an interview great, you want to dress a certain part, right? You want to feel a certain part, may want to trim some things up and all this other stuff. This is living in a different place. This is living, you're living in a place as if. There's a big thing from being in this place as if you're already there.
Yeah.
So you're not going to just roll up on a job smelling a certain way, looking a certain way, acting a certain way. That's what I'm talking about, acting as if. And this is what I did when it came to meeting Krista.
Mm.
So I'll
Very
leave that cliffhanger when we go into next week.
Yeah, we're gonna episode 9 will be the missing chapters.
Yeah, and I'd say all our missing chapters, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I hope you don't get in trouble tonight, Charlie.
No. See, this is what I did is I prepared myself, right? I prepared myself a long time ago, and I said, well, looks like I'm getting in trouble a lot. So, and it usually gives me a straight path to the doghouse. So what I did is I put cable TV in my doghouse, so
Okay.
I can at least watch some TV, all right?
Right.
And eventually I'll get called out, and I can come out. But at least I was able to watch something like the Really Charlie podcast, or sometimes you got to lose yourself, right?
That's right. Sometimes you gotta lose yourself in order to grow, man.
Yeah.
So
I'm just I don't mind being in trouble at home. I really don't.
no, you're not gonna be in trouble, man. You guys, man, you guys are amazing, an amazing couple, and 30 years is wonderful.
Yeah, now we work together, so now it's like home, then go to work, and then
That's
our
nice.
work hours are together, and get to have some conversation, get
It's
to
great.
argue about what radio station to put on, or what streaming site to put on, and it's good
It's
to.
kind of one of those things, man. Enjoy that. Sometimes Chris and I would argue over what we're gonna play on the radio. It's like I'd give anything to be in that state again. You know what I mean? And so
Man, yeah.
enjoy what you can while you can, because man, we are all delusional standpoint. We think things will last forever. They don't.
Mhm. Yeah, yep, yeah. I see that. I've seen that throughout this year, and
Yeah.
some people that I mean, uh, the New Bedford Historic Society honored two educators,
Mm.
and one of the educators that we just lost.
Sorry to hear that.
But we had the craziest thing is that every day when I did work with that educator, every morning I knew when I was at work that's who was one of the first people I was going to see and talk to. And yeah, it was yep, that's my daily scoop, with Mrs. Holtman, and we would just have conversations. Thing is, she's older than me, so
Mm.
she would share some stories of way back when I was a young boy, and we talk about the neighborhood, or we talk about each other's kids,
Mm-hmm.
or things that going on within the school.
Mm-hmm.
Took it for granted. I thought that was forever, and no, not too long after that, it was heard this tragic news, and
Mm-hmm.
I had gone from the workplace, but so as she was honored, you think and you look across and see her wonderful husband, and his soulmate wasn't at his side, and that's the first time I really kind of focused on it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was like, wow, wow, and so yeah, things are not for tomorrow. Tomorrow isn't promised to us, and yeah, I'm gonna continue to make those memories and continue to write some more chapters.
There you go.
But if I'm unable to write a chapter tomorrow, please continue with this podcast and add many things in life, and reach out to people like you've been doing. Um, Even if your good friend isn't around. So just keep it going, and we need to do this. We need to do this, and whether Charlie's around or someone else isn't around or Charlie isn't around, we just gotta keep on doing what we're doing, and do this is part of, like you said, our purpose, and so I'm pretty sure there's people on here that tune in every single week, and we may not see their names, but this show is definitely something they look forward to.
Absolutely. And we
Yeah,
look forward to sharing our heart with everybody. And
yeah,
we don't have a script written down. We just shoot.
yep.
We
It
just shoot.
comes. It's that my poetry. I call it my poetic pulse, and this is our poetic pulse. It doesn't. Poetry doesn't have to be good and glamorous and all that. Poetry can be love and grief. Poetry can be a conversation amongst men talking about everything that we talked about. And so I want to let's talk about this right now. It says Lisa Lope says you have to go on with life just like you would, like they would want you to, and it's so true.
Lisa, thank you so much. I'm giving you a virtual hug. I don't think I ever met you.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
I'm
she's
giving you a virtual hug because it's back in January. Um, this is whether people believe in this. I do feel like over the years, I have connected greatly with people on the other side. A lot of times it's through music.
Mhm.
So when Charlie and I were talking about tones and frequencies, at least sometimes through a musical note or something, we have an opportunity to connect with people who are no longer here with us physically, but they're still become a part of our makeup and all.
Mm.
And I had an opportunity to meet with people who connect with people on the other side. And part of this moving on was from Kristen as well, right? Continue
Mm.
with your life. So thank you for this reminder, Lisa. It is so crucial, and I repeat this because I think everyone needs to hear that. whatever it looks like for someone. But yeah, you matter, and you have to continue on.
Exactly. Yeah, Lisa Lopes is a very dear friend of mine,
Okay.
and grew
Dear
up with
friend
her.
of yours, dear friend of mine, brother.
Yeah, grew up with her brother, and we
Hmm.
lived across the way from each other. And she is magnificent. She's kind of a matriarch of her family,
Nice.
through and through, and so when she talks, we listen, and
That's right. You better.
I love her dearly. Um, so next week I will be on my way back home before the podcast.
Okay.
Um, if anything comes up, we may have to push it ahead maybe an hour, but I should be home well before that. But
Okay.
I'm not in charge that day, right? So things happen. And but we will have a podcast at 6 or 6:30. But if I need
We'll
some
say no
time,
more. We'll
yeah,
say no more.
yeah. The keep up with the book and those missing chapters. I can't wait to talk about it next week. And also um the I'm gonna try to do something, and I keep saying this all the time, but I'm trying to.
What?
There's a dying need for us to be on TikTok.
Okay. Well, another thing you said you were going to do too. Did you listen to that song?
Yes, I did. I was
How that resonate with you?
I was when I listened to it was in the morning, right?
Mhm.
I listened to it, and it kind of set me back. I was just kind of dwelling, and I was like, yeah. Um, and I wanted to write, but I was
Mm.
unable to
Okay.
because
Good.
we were on our way out,
Mhm.
to work, but I definitely I cannot wait to watch this movie. Um, because
It's on Amazon now.
oh
You
yeah,
can rent it or buy it.
see,
But I got to tell you, man, you're an artist.
hmm,
You're a great artist. Your poetry is next level.
yeah,
When you finish watching this movie, your poetry is going to be turbocharged.
wow,
I promise
yeah,
you this.
yeah. I am just the previews, the trailers, everything. It gets me
Everything.
going. The TikTok is like nonstop with it. It's just and but I cannot wait. And
Right.
but I definitely have to. I mean, I'm gonna write. I believe I'm gonna write a whole book, and it's all gonna be from that movie Sinners. And
Mhm.
so I got to figure out how I'm gonna title this. But the word sinners is definitely gonna be in the title. I'm
Um.
I want to show
Yeah.
how this person is inspirational. This movie is inspirational. What I write.
We got to do a whole show on it, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I love to get your thoughts and on that. And
yeah. We
it was
will.
I felt like a part of that book helped me get to the finish line.
Hmm,
I mean, I'm sorry, that movie helped me
yeah.
get to the finish line because tones and frequency,
Hmm.
Charlie,
Yep.
tones and frequencies. Really,
Yep.
that's it, and you understand what I mean more about when you see that.
Yeah. Maybe. I'm glad you mentioned that. You keep mentioning tones and frequencies, and I just think that every week we got to continue to mention that.
Hmm.
Real important, even if it's in the conversation we're having. But
Hmm.
we just want to mention that steadily, constantly, routinely.
Before we go, do you
Yep.
want to respond to what Edward wrote?
Let's see. Yeah, why not? Hey, I'm not ready to go. Your company is good company.
Yeah, I gotta leave in about 5 minutes.
Okay, all right. You have a reason for you to continue and help others. Yes. Um, hmm, you have a reason for you to continue and help others. I mean, my reason is just I'm only helping because they need help.
Hmm.
Um, definitely not a person to turn away from help. I have a huge problem with saying no to someone asking for help. Or
Me too.
someone, yeah, I really do. I really do. Oh, gotta go to voicemail. Sorry, my friend. I'm
No,
sorry.
no, me too. I don't know. I saw it a lot during COVID
Yep,
here in LA. It's like
yep.
I don't like to. This is the part where I don't like to be feel too corny and squishy with people with, but I genuinely have a love for people, and
Yeah,
honestly, it's like it's so it's beyond words, right? Mainly because I understand we're all connected on one level.
exactly.
So when you start feeling yourself to feeling the love, you just feel the love, right? It doesn't have to be a beginning and end. And that's just my purpose and my journey. It
Hmm.
really is. To each his own. And man, it's when you remove all the things where we got bills, you got
Hmm.
this, and that, you don't need to have anything to generate love or care for someone else. It's always there.
Yeah,
These
true.
things get these things get in front of it, but we have it there. So it's a better state to build from. Just to love and just try to be there for people. Listen,
Yeah.
I'm grateful. A lot of people have been there for me throughout my whole life. Think about growing up. I had so much love around me,
Hmm.
even when certain people fell short. I never was in this absence of love from people. It's a great reminder.
Yeah. The Edward Rogers, a mentor of mine, and it's been in my life all my life, and
Nice.
so you know, he definitely there's one thing that he's done for me that is priceless. And he was
Nice.
able to give me a lock of my grandmother's hair who had passed
Mm.
away, and he had
Mm.
stored it away, and he had it, and that's how close he is to my family.
That's great.
So when he
That's great to hear.
gave it to me, a nice a nice little box,
Mm.
um, just 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 to pass that on to me, um, it was just a priceless, and so I truly never, ever, ever will forget that gesture. Um, so the my man, my brother, we are doing well, and
As always.
I look forward to this. Wednesdays are very, very good day for me.
Yeah.
It's gonna,
It breaks my week in half. So that's what I love about
yeah,
what we
yeah,
do, man. It
hmm,
gives me a dedicated hour just to do this,
yeah,
you
yep.
know?
So,
So, all right. We'll be in touch, of course, and next Wednesday.
yep. Next Wednesday, same time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. And for everyone out there on the West Coast, come on, chime in. We are waiting for you. We are definitely waiting for everybody, really. But keep chiming in, and we definitely have to keep getting this message out. And the book, oh, need that book very, very quickly. There, Marvin
Coming.
Speller.
Coming. It's coming, man. Oof.
Yeah,
It's coming
yeah.
for sure.
All right, all right, my good friend. I love you. You take
Love you,
care,
brother.
my brother, and I would
Much love to
definitely.
all the people that chimed in today.
Yeah, yeah, there was some good comments, some good people, and some good numbers. I truly, truly am happy as always. And I will add this to Spotify within the next hour.
Okay,
So we
great.
will also be on Spotify, so you all can listen to Sometimes You Have to Lose Yourself. I'm Charlie Perry. My co-host is Marvin, Coach M100, my man.
Can you
Bye.
send me that link on from Spotify?
Yes, I will. I sure will.
Thank you, my
All right.
brother.
Take care. God bless. All right.